My first grandchild must absolutely be born from my daughter. Don't you dare have a child before my Lisa gets married." With those words, my mother-in-law kicked my pregnant belly. Oh dear, it seems she doesn't know her own son very well, despite being his mother. The scary one when angered isn't me. It's actually my husband. My name is Sammy, and I'm 38 years old. My parents gave me this name, hoping I'd grow up to be a cheerful child. It's a pretty common name. There's usually one or two others with the same name in any class, but I like it. I've tried to live up to my parents' wishes by maintaining a bright outlook on life. However, there was one time in my life when I thought, I just can't feel cheerful about this. It happened when I was in my late 20s. My then boyfriend Jackson and I had decided to get married, and we went to his family home to announce our engagement. Before we went, Jackson had warned me, my family's a bit intense. Be prepared. But I brushed it off, thinking, it can't be that bad. I even joked, my parents are pretty quirky too, you know. However, within minutes of arriving at his parents' house, I realized how naive I'd been. As soon as she saw me, Jackson's mother frowned disapprovingly and said, "What's the meaning of this, Jackson? Bringing home some random woman we don't even know, and planning to get married before Lisa?" I was stunned by this sudden outburst, but Jackson sighed and replied, "Mom, if I wait for Lisa, I'll never get married." It turned out that Jackson's mother wanted Lisa, Jackson's older sister, to get married before him. "She's our firstborn, so of course she should marry first," she insisted, for reasons I couldn't comprehend. If Lisa had a boyfriend, I might have understood, but Lisa was what you'd call a shut-in. She hadn't left the house much since middle school. According to Jackson, Lisa had mocked and ridiculed a close friend's appearance, making her a laughingstock. As a result, Lisa herself was ostracized by her peer group. She then declared, "People can't be trusted, they're scary," and stopped going to school, conveniently forgetting her own role in the situation and acting like a tragic heroine. The real problem was Jackson's parents. They loved Lisa so much that they told her, "You don't need to go somewhere with such terrible classmates. We'll take care of you for life." Lisa took their words to heart, and to this day, at 30 years old, she continues to live off her parents' allowance, buying magazines and games online and enjoying them in her room. The only time she goes out is for gaming events, and even then, the money comes from her parents' wallet. She doesn't work, and of course, her parents pay all her taxes. You might wonder if Lisa inherited anything when Jackson's father passed away. Well, a few years before he died, their house caught fire. Between moving and other expenses, most of their savings were used up. Despite not having much money left, Jackson's mother shows no signs of getting a job, and Lisa shows no signs of leaving her room. It's a mystery how Jackson's mother plans to keep taking care of her daughter. In any case, it's clear that she dotes on Lisa excessively. Jackson, who had been largely ignored as a child while his sister was pampered, said, "If I wait for my sister to get married, I'll be long dead and buried." He had no intention of waiting for his sister's marriage. Well, that's understandable. Jackson's mother strongly opposed our marriage, but Jackson had already decided to marry me regardless of his parents' objections. He brought me to meet his family out of a sense of adult responsibility, but he had no intention of listening to his mother's complaints. Well, that's that. "I'm getting married," Jackson declared, dismissing his mother's objections and settling the matter without further discussion. His mother vehemently protested, saying she wouldn't attend our wedding, to which Jackson replied, "Don't worry, we weren't planning to invite you anyway." I wondered if this was really okay, but I also realized that if I was going to marry Jackson, this was probably the only way. After we got married, we rarely visited Jackson's family or participated in family gatherings. His mother seemed to care only about Lisa and not much about Jackson, so she didn't complain about this situation. We found it quite convenient too. However, one day we received a call that Jackson's mother had collapsed while shopping and been rushed to the hospital. They had tried calling the house phone, but no one answered, so we were the next contact on her phone. Lisa must have been at home, but being a shut-in, she probably pretended not to hear the phone. She's truly a hopeless person. It turned out that Jackson's mother had suffered a heart attack, and the hospital wanted a family member's consent for surgery. I frantically contacted Jackson, got his permission for the surgery, and then rushed to the hospital. Jackson's mother was unconscious for about 3 days after the surgery, but on the 4th day, she opened her eyes, and by the 5th day, she was able to converse with the nurses. When we received word that she had been moved from the intensive care unit to a regular room, we went to visit her with a change of clothes and other necessities. "Why are strangers coming to visit me?" she grumbled. As soon as she saw Jackson and me, his mother started complaining without even a word of thanks. Neither of us wanted to visit her either, but since Lisa was like a statue, never leaving the house, what choice did we have? Jackson's stance was, we don't need to visit her. He said it would only lead to trouble and be a hassle since we'd just be unwelcome. But Lisa insisted, I don't want to go to crowded places like hospitals, and we had to talk to her through her closed door. Of course, Jackson yelled, can't you cooperate with your family in an emergency? If you can go out for game events, surely you can go to the hospital. But it had no effect. In fact, Lisa just went silent and stopped responding altogether. So, reluctantly, my husband and I ended up visiting his mother in the hospital in Lisa's place. When we arrived, his mother hurled abuse at us. Jackson, furious, told me, we don't need to visit anymore. Let her wear dirty clothes every day for all I care. But obviously, we couldn't do that. She was in a shared room, and wearing smelly clothes would bother the other patients and nurses. Jackson had to work during the day, so I was the only one who could bring clean clothes on weekdays. I told Jackson, I know it's not pleasant, but I'll grit my teeth and go to the hospital. Jackson looked genuinely apologetic and said, if it gets too much, just throw everything away and come home without going to the hospital. But I decided to do my best as his wife. Despite my resolve, every time I showed up at the hospital, his mother would say things like, the nurse said my daughter was here, so I thought it was Lisa, but it's just you. I don't consider you my daughter, or seeing your face makes me feel ill. It was clear that this was a form of daughter-in-law bullying, especially since she knew very well that Lisa wouldn't come to the hospital. Once, she threw the bag I brought at me, and it almost hit the patient in the next bed. I had to apologize profusely. Of course, my mother-in-law didn't apologize. I was the one bowing my head repeatedly. Her behavior was so outrageous that I finally snapped back, I don't feel like your daughter either, but I'm the only one who can take care of you right now, so please bear with it. She flew into a rage, yelling, Lisa would never say such a thing. You're truly not lovable at all. Naturally, we were scolded by the nurses, but again, I had to apologize on behalf of my unapologetic mother-in-law. I wondered if there was any way to deal with this impossible woman. After a stressful month, my mother-in-law was finally discharged. As we returned to our peaceful days without any involvement with her, I received the joyous news that I was pregnant. Jackson was overjoyed. Even though I kept telling him, it's still too small, we can't feel anything yet, he would put his ear to my belly every day, saying, are you in there? I thought he was being silly, but I understood his excitement, and I was happy that he was so thrilled about my pregnancy. As a mother and a wife, I was determined to have a healthy baby. My parents were also ecstatic when I told them about the pregnancy. They've made it their weekend hobby to look for baby socks and clothes, even though it's way too early. I've told them not to buy anything yet since we don't even know the gender, but I'm a bit worried they might end up buying both boys' and girls' clothes. While everyone was excited about the new life, we didn't tell Jackson's mother about the pregnancy. Jackson said it would be better not to. He was worried about my mental well-being during the pregnancy, knowing that his mother might say all sorts of things if she found out that her first grandchild would be from Jackson, after he had married before Lisa. I agreed that it would be better to wait until after the baby was born and things had settled down before telling her. Jackson said we didn't even need to do that. I thought we could play it by ear depending on the situation. However, when I was close to my due date, Jackson's mother suddenly showed up at our house. I didn't want to show her my pregnant belly, so I was considering pretending not to be home when my phone rang. It was her. I had left the window open, so she must have heard the ringtone. "Come out right now," she yelled angrily. I usually keep my phone on silent mode, but of all days, why did I have the ringtone on today? I held my head in my hands, but it was too late. Jackson wasn't home, and I knew this was bad, but I had no choice. I opened the door slightly, and Jackson's mother forced her way in. "How dare you get pregnant?" she shouted, her face contorted with rage. She hadn't even seen my belly yet. I was taken aback by her reaction, which seemed as if she had known about my pregnancy all along. She explained, "A neighbor saw you at the OBGYN and said, 'Congratulations on your daughter-in-law's pregnancy.'" "What's there to congratulate?" "I see, so she found out about my pregnancy from someone else." Even though I had chosen a clinic far from their home, we were still discovered. Seeing my slightly pale face, Jackson's mother misinterpreted it and said, "Well, at least you seem to feel some remorse for getting pregnant before Lisa." "I'm sorry, but I felt absolutely no such remorse. I'm sure you already know this, but the first grandchild should be Lisa's. I don't want a child from someone like you who doesn't understand family hierarchy," she yelled. Suddenly, she kicked my belly. I crouched down, shocked that I couldn't protect my belly and in pain from the kick. Oh no, I don't feel intense pain, but I feel like water is flowing down my lower body. As I tried to quickly escape from her, she grabbed my collar and kicked my back, saying, "Listen. I've decided that the first grandchild must be Lisa's. Don't you dare have a child until she gets married. Give up on giving birth." I could feel water flowing from my body, beyond my control. My water had broken. Jackson's mother was saying other things too, but I was in such a panic that I couldn't hear anything. My state must have looked to her like I was hanging my head in remorse because she spat out, "I hope you understand now. We don't want your child," and left. The sound of the door closing brought me back to my senses, but I didn't know what to do. However, I knew I had to have my condition checked, so with trembling hands, I called the clinic and hurriedly got into a taxi to go to the hospital. The timing was terrible. Jackson was away on a 2-day business trip. Apparently, the supervisor who was supposed to go had been hospitalized due to an accident, so Jackson had to go instead because they were short-staffed. He had tried to refuse, saying he had a pregnant wife at home, but they wouldn't listen. I remember him complaining about it. I had told him, "It's okay. I can manage on my own for 2 days, so don't worry and go on your trip." But now I felt like I was going to fall apart from anxiety. Tears were flowing uncontrollably, and I called Jackson, sobbing as I explained the situation. "I understand. Work doesn't matter anymore. You and the baby are what's important. I'm coming back right away, so hang in there," he said. True to his word, Jackson returned to me that evening. Apparently, some superiors complained about him abandoning his duties, but Jackson told me, "If anyone has a problem with this, I'm prepared to change jobs. Don't worry about it. I'm lucky to have such a good husband." Fortunately, there seemed to be no problems with the baby, but since I was close to my due date, we immediately began preparations for the birth. After that, our child was born safely, and we were supposed to be living happily ever after. But suddenly, Jackson said with a serious face, "I'm not going to let everything slide just because the baby was born safely." He had been furious about his mother's actions that day. He said he would definitely teach her a lesson once I was out of the hospital. And then came the fateful day. It was about a month after I had been discharged from the hospital. Early in the morning, Jackson took me and our daughter to his parents' house. Without ringing the doorbell, he used his key to barge into the house. His mother, who had apparently been watching TV, was flustered by Jackson's sudden appearance. "What's this all about? If you're coming, you should let me know in advance," she exclaimed. No wonder she was surprised. Jackson's usual gentleness was gone, replaced by a cold, expressionless face as he loudly opened the door. It was uncharacteristically rough behavior for him. Ignoring his mother's voice, Jackson headed towards Lisa's room. "Hey! What's going on, Jackson?" His mother followed him. Jackson stopped in front of Lisa's room, took a deep breath, and then rammed his body against the door. The doors in this house had locks installed later at Lisa's request, so the only way to open them was to either pick the lock or break down the door. Jackson seemed to have chosen the latter. "Hey! Jackson! What are you doing?" his mother panicked. Jackson said nothing and kicked the door. When his mother clung to him saying, "Stop it," he pushed her away without a word. After kicking the door about 5 times, it was in tatters. Finally, Jackson took a running start and body slammed the door, which fell inward with a loud bang. Lisa, in worn-out sweatpants with unkempt, overgrown bangs, let out a voiceless cry. "Come," Jackson said, grabbing Lisa's hand and dragging her out of the room. Of course, Lisa screamed, "No! Stop," but Jackson didn't listen. Their mother, teary-eyed, pleaded, "Stop it. Don't you feel sorry for her?" But such words wouldn't reach the enraged Jackson. He dragged Lisa out to the yard and yelled, "Get outside for once." Lisa was crying like a child, with their mother comforting her. "Why are you doing such a terrible thing?" Their mother raised her voice at Jackson, as if she were in the right. "Ha! This is kindness. A woman over 30 who doesn't work and leeches off her parents, staying cooped up at home. It's about time she got out." Jackson retorted. "That's not for you to decide," his mother shot back. "Then can you decide, Mom?" "No, you can't. Don't you understand that living like this will only lead to unhappiness for Lisa? You had a heart attack, and you still don't get it. You won't live forever, Mom. How can someone who needs to be taken care of herself keep taking care of Lisa? I'll leave money behind. We don't need your concern. Then let me ask you this, who visited you in the hospital this time? Lisa just stayed at home, and Sammy did everything, didn't she? You did that on your own." "Yes, we did. But what about Lisa? Who's going to take care of her if something happens to her? We're not going to look after Lisa. Or do you plan to live for another 100 years to take care of her? You know that's impossible. Think realistically. Besides, how is this shut-in woman supposed to get married? It's ridiculous to say you won't acknowledge any grandchild that isn't Lisa's." Jackson's words were harsh but true. His mother looked at him as if scales had fallen from her eyes. She had probably never seriously thought about it, genuinely believing she could protect Lisa forever. "If I may say so." I spoke up, and Jackson's mother turned to look at me. "Mother, if you and Father had properly guided Lisa to reintegrate into society, she might have been married by now. But both of you allowed Lisa to not work and gave her a comfortable life, just as she wanted. She's already 30. It's almost too late for her to rejoin society, but putting it off any longer won't do her any good. As she gets older, job opportunities will decrease, and there aren't many places willing to hire someone like Lisa with no social experience and no special circumstances. If you really care about her, shouldn't you be pushing her to go out instead of keeping her cooped up? She's only going to struggle more. As I spoke, Jackson's mother's face gradually turned red with anger. "Shut up," she yelled. "You think you're a proper mother just because you had a child? I've raised 2 children. I know a lot more about parenting than you do. Don't interfere in our family matters." As his mother shouted, breathing heavily, Jackson snorted. "If that's the case, then your parenting was a failure. You've raised a 30-year-old shut-in daughter who's never worked, and a son who's cut ties with you. Let me tell you, I think Lisa is a victim here. Someone should have properly scolded her when we knew what triggered her to become a shut-in. It's okay. Right, Lisa? You'll be fine. Maybe you should work in the future, but you were always a capable child, so you'll find a job quickly." His mother patted Lisa's back reassuringly. However, Lisa herself was pale and muttering, "No, I can't." Both Jackson and I were certain it was impossible. His mother must have realized it too, but she put on a brave face and said, "As long as I'm here, Lisa will be fine." "Well, whatever. Just live happily with Lisa. Don't ever involve us again," Jackson said. "Huh?" His mother looked confused, and Jackson sneered. "What do you mean, huh? Don't tell me you were thinking that when you get old and frail, I'd take care of you while Lisa continues her pampered life. Dream on." It seemed he had hit the nail on the head, as his mother was at a loss for words. "Well, according to your assessment, Lisa can get married, so why don't you let her future husband support you? Isn't that a nice family plan? I'll do my best too." Jackson laughed it off, but his eyes weren't smiling. Seeing this, his mother's face filled with despair. "Are you planning to cut ties with me? I'm your only mother, you know. Only mother. Don't make me laugh. I don't remember ever being loved by you. You made me do all the housework while letting Lisa do whatever she wanted. And to top it off, you kicked my pregnant wife's belly. I might have forgiven you if it was just me, but I can't forgive you for laying hands on my wife." With a sharp gaze I'd never seen before, Jackson glanced at his silent mother one last time, then put his hand on my shoulder and said, "Let's go." We left the place. His mother was yelling, "Please reconsider," but Jackson didn't look back. After that, his mother often called or came to our house. She even bowed her head, saying, "At least please take care of Lisa." But Jackson refused. It's different from helping someone who's been living properly and finds themselves in trouble. It's not right for someone who's never done anything to just ask to be taken care of, he said, logically rejecting his mother's plea. Later, when our daughter got a bit older, we moved away. We didn't give his mother our new contact information, so we've completely cut ties with her now. The last I heard, Lisa couldn't keep up with vocational training and kept getting fired from part-time jobs due to tardiness and unexcused absences. Surprisingly, when Lisa was scolded at a part-time job for lack of motivation, she cried to her mother about being pressured, and her mother stormed into Lisa's workplace, yelling, "How dare you treat my poor daughter like that? Lisa will probably never work properly for the rest of her life." We're discussing with Jackson about taking precautions so they don't rely on us in the future. It's a mystery how Lisa, who can barely go shopping, will manage to live on her own when she eventually loses her mother, but it's scary to think about, so we try not to. Despite her mother's boasts of leaving money behind and taking care of her for life, they ended up struggling financially. Even though she's over 60, she's working part-time jobs to support Lisa. It's usually the other way around, isn't it? She seems to have finally realized that we should have properly pushed Lisa to go out, but it's too late now. It looks like she's feeling the weight of having to support a daughter who can't do anything for herself for the rest of her life. As for me, we've had 2 more children since then, and we're now a lively family of 5. I panicked a bit when I got pregnant with our second child quite soon after the first, but it's surprising how things work out. Jackson is very supportive with childcare and cooks dinner 3 times a week. He's probably better at cooking than I am and knows more recipes too. His baking hobby has also improved, and recently I often see him in the kitchen with the kids on weekends. He's a wonderful dad by any measure. However, cleaning is still his weak point. He tends to make messes without realizing it, and he thinks things are tidied up if he just piles them together. He also has trouble deciding what to throw away. So I mainly handle the cleaning, and we complement each other's weaknesses. Our children, watching us, seem to be helping each other with their studies in areas where they excel. People can't live alone, so we need to support each other. I hope our family will continue to support each other forever. I'm happy every day, surrounded by my loving family.